Digital was the big story, but it was wearable technology that seemed to be the focus. Have a look at this presentation by the head of Google India, Rajan Anandan.
So it's great to be here. Thank you for inviting us to join all of you today. What I'm going to do is very quickly talk about three things. I think first is where we are with technology. Second, I'll talk about how is this impacting consumers. And then finally, I'll talk about how is this impacting business. So I think the first thing to keep in mind is technology, the change of technology, the pace of adoption is accelerating. Now, here's an interesting set of facts about how the adoption of new technology is accelerating very, very rapidly. It's happening around the world is wearables and connected devices, glasses, watches, and just about everything that you can imagine, right? Healthcare devices that are connected to your wrist, to your arms, to your chest, and so on and so forth. Wearables is very likely to get to 1 billion users at half the time that it took smartphones, which is just about 4 years. So sometime between 2012 and 2013 is when we think commercial scale wearable technology was launched. So we could easily assume that over the next 4 years, we will see mainstream adoption. I mean, billions of users actually wearing wearables. So I think as marketeers, as creative, in your space, whether it's creative or media, you should really think about that. Because in India, what has really happened is we've gone from having no internet to now having over 200 million users. We'll go from having no wearables to hundreds of millions of Indians running around with wearables devices before we know it. So that's really what's happening to technology. But what is also happening is software and the internet are impacting every single industry.
You can tap on any card to see more. Swipe down anywhere to go back to the timeline.
One of the reasons it's extremely exciting, it shows what software can do. So that's the first important thing I think to keep in mind, is that technology is changing very, very rapidly. The future, whether it's driverless cars, wearable devices, I think one of the speakers mentioned artificial intelligence. By the way, the year 2030 is going to be really important, where machines will learn by themselves. That's done. So, which means just about everything can be learned by machines, right? What's happening with consumers is they are now connecting with multiple devices. Today, as we speak, middle of 2014, you have over 200 million of them that connect to the internet. Half of them actually have both a desktop and a notebook, and about 10 to 15 million of them already have a tablet device. I want you to fast forward just 24 months when over 200 million Indians will have at least 6 devices. And I think as marketeers, being in businesses that work with brands, this is actually very, very important. And I know that in many of your businesses, you're probably just trying to get your arms around the internet on the desktop or the notebook. Well, the reality is the mobile device is already here. The smartphone is here. Very quickly, we're going to have over hundreds of millions of Indians with wearable devices. You'll have connected cars. Some of them will drive by themselves. And then you will also have interactive TV. So essentially a world
really cool.
of
it was like really kind of a space
n number of screens.
You said relax. You don't need to do nothing. It knows when it needs to stop. It knows when it needs to go.
So really a world of end devices. Now, what does this really mean for businesses? I think the first most important thing is in just about every industry, value chains are being disrupted. In some industries, the value chains have already been disrupted. And this set of data here is for the music industry. 7 years ago, physical music distribution was $20 billion. 7 years ago. Last year, it was $10 billion. It meant if you were in any part of that value chain that had to do with physical distribution of music, for instance, there are companies in India that used to be companies with thousands of crores of revenue that made diskettes, they're gone. Right? So digital is impacting value chains in very, very profound ways. The other important thing is, how does it really impact marketing? We believe, obviously we're a little biased being Google, that digital should be, even in India, at the core of advertising. You know, one of the concerns that I've heard, I think, from marketeers, from, you know, whether it's advertising agencies or creative agencies, is that the internet in India does not have reach. Not only does the internet have reach, it can actually build brands at scale with direct intention.
Coming up, Omnicom Media Group's Chief Innovation Officer Guy Hearn on simplicity and relevance of communication on the other side of this break.
Innovation